Welcome to the Multimedia Lab at Brown's Basic Video Editing Workshop. We will be taking a look at the fundamentals of using a video editing software, like Adobe Premiere, to create a short 45-second narrative video together. In this workshop, we will learn how to create a new video project in Adobe Premiere, import media like video, stills, and audio into our project, understand the fundamentals of non-destructive video editing, learn how to add transitions and effects to our projects, create clips from raw media using 2 different methods, and lastly, export your media. If you haven't already, please pause this video and download the project files from brown.edu/go/MML Video Workshop. Right-click on the zipped file titled MML Video Workshop and download it. Let's start by first watching the video we are about to recreate together.
I spent my entire life training to become a world-class boxer, but no matter what I did, it was never enough. Still, I had to find a solution. That's when my doctor told me about Terminatrix. Sure, it had some side effects, but I thought they were worth it at the time, so that I could become the baddest boxing robot on the planet. No one could defeat me. I was invincible!
Pew, 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 pew.
Pew?
Now let's take a look at what you just saw inside Adobe Premiere Editor. As you watch and listen, look at the screen. What connections can you make between what you are seeing and hearing in the video and what you are seeing in the Premiere Editor?
I spent my entire life training to become a world-class boxer, but no matter what I did, it was never enough. Still, I had to find a solution. That's when my doctor told me about Terminatrix. Sure, it had some side effects, but I thought they were worth it at the time, so that I could become the baddest boxing robot on the planet. No one could defeat me. I was invincible!
Pew, 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 pew.
Pew?
Let's begin with the window in the top right called the Project Monitor. This is essentially a preview of our project and represents the content in the timeline below, which we will talk about next. Pressing the play button or pressing the spacebar on your keyboard will play your video project. You can also move backward or forward frame by frame by clicking on the arrows on the left or right of the play button. Depending on the computer you are working with and how many clips, effects, and video tracks you have in your project, you may experience some glitching or lag during playback. One of the ways you can account for this is to change the resolution of the program monitor from full to 1/2 or even 1/4. It's important to note that this only affects the resolution of your project monitor while you are editing. Your final video will still be exported in full resolution. Let's move on to the timeline, which is the window in the bottom right. The timeline is a chronologically linear representation of our project, with the beginning of the project on the left and the end on the right. There are several components to the timeline. Let's first look at the tracks. Tracks are containers that hold our media while we edit our video. You may notice that tracks are divided into 2 sections, with video on the top half and audio on the bottom half. Video tracks contain video, still images, or text. They are also arranged like layers. Media on track 3 will appear as if they are floating above the media in tracks 1 and 2, respectively. You can also add or delete tracks by right-clicking the mouse on the track and hitting the appropriate option. Moving to the top of the timeline, there is what looks like a blue upside-down triangular shape known as the playhead or scrubber, and is a way that we can quickly navigate through our timeline. Notice that as you move the scrubber, the blue line, as well as the numbers in the upper left hand of the timeline, change as well. These numbers are called a timestamp and represent the exact moment in time the scrubber is pointing to chronologically in your project. The timeline can be expanded or condensed by using the slider at the bottom of the timeline. This will be useful when you need to zoom out to see your entire project or zoom in to do some careful editing. Directly to the left of the timeline is the Tool panel, which we'll be using to trim, move, and edit our media clips. The three tools we will be using the most are the Selection tool, which can be used to select and move clips around our timeline, the Razor tool, which is used to trim and cut media clips, and the Text tool, which will allow us to add and format text to our project. Moving further along the bottom left, we can find the bin window. As you import media into your project, you will find it collected in this bin. In this example, you can see there are a couple folders titled Footage and Audio. If we look further in each folder, you will see the raw media files. Folders can be created by right-clicking in the bin area and selecting Create New Bin, which you can then name something useful. If you are working with a lot of media, taking the time to organize your media into bins will be extremely useful in the long term. The Source panel is where you can do some light editing and previewing of your media before bringing it into your video project. It's useful for identifying sections of longer videos that you want to use as clips in your project. The Source panel also has several tabs. One tab we will be using a lot is the Effects Control tab. Here you can change various aspects of your media, such as the size, position, rotation, and opacity of your video, or the volume of your audio. We will look at this more in depth a little later. At the top of the Premiere window is where we can navigate to different workspaces based on our needs. We will mostly be working in the Editing and Effects workspace. Switching to a different workspace simply adds and resizes some of the windows based on the task that you need to do. The Learning workspace can be useful if you want to explore some other features and techniques for working with video in Premiere. Now that we've gone over the layout, let's begin recreating our Terminatrix video.